my lovelies. I'm going to talk to you today about what's going on in our society at the moment with the coronavirus and random acts of kindness and, the way we behave to each other. So, I hope you enjoy it. So here I am. I've got my cup of coffee. It's Tim Hortons from Canada. Wonderful coffee sent for me for my birthday by my dear friend Ruth. Drunk out of a mug given to me on my birthday by another friend. One day at a time. And do you know what, at the moment, I think that is such good advice. Excuse me. That is such good coffee. So, seeing a lot of stuff on Facebook and hearing people talk about what's going on in the world at the moment, and particularly with the coronavirus. And there seems to be a lot of fear around and a lot of, for want of another word, selfishness. People worrying about how they are going to manage. And I totally get that. I think that when something like this happens, I think fear is a natural human response. A long time ago, I tried to teach myself to act and not to react. And I feel that watching what's going on at the moment, there is an awful lot of reaction. And I think that this is time to act, not react. So I'm going to start by reading you the rations from World War II. Because when I went to do some shopping yesterday, and I shopped for my mum and for some neighbours, there was a lot of things that were completely not available. So tin stuff was gone. There was no flour, toilet rolls, tissues, the things that people have been talking about. But anyway, if you were living through World War II, which Ada just up the road did, because she's 98 in a couple of weeks, and my mum was a baby evacuated with her mother. So you would have had, for an adult, 2 to 3 pints of milk, 8 ounces of sugar, 1 egg. 1 egg. And I had a dear friend when I was teaching in a local school who used to buy the eggs that come from my hens. And he would often come into school and say that he'd used half a dozen eggs in an omelette. So 1 egg. 2 ounces of cheese. Now that is a very small amount. And actually, you've only got that. But if you're a vegetarian, you can have 4 ounces. Butter, 2 ounces. Margarine, 4 ounces. And cooking fat, which is probably lard, 4 ounces. 2 ounces of tea. Now that's equal to 25 tea bags, so that's not bad. But then, as we know, tea sorts most things out, doesn't it? You are allowed a pound of jam every 2 months. So there's 16 ounces in a pound. That's 8 ounces a month. That's 2 ounces of jam a week, which is a few teaspoons full, not a great deal. You can have 4 ounces of bacon or ham, meat to the value of 1 shilling and 2pence. So 6pence in old money was 2.5p. So a shilling, it would be 5p, or 5 new peas, as my nanny used to call them. 12 ounces of sweets every 4 weeks. So that's 3 ounces a week. So less than a quarter of sweets, or for you younger people, that would be less than Sorry, less than 100 grams, about 75 grams. So not a lot. Okay, so yesterday when I dropped some shopping off to my mum, she gave me a load of documents that came through the Randall family, my dad's side of the family. My great-grandfather was a clockmaker in Holt, and him and his wife and their children, Olive, and my grandfather, Russell, were quite prolific letter writers. Anyway, I found this letter, and I thought you'd like to see the envelope. So those of you who live in Norwich will recognise Mill Hill Road. And the letter is dated September the 27th, 1918. And quite a scrawl, quite a lot of it. But this is a letter from Hannah Randall, my great-grandmother, to my great-aunt, Olive. And she's telling her that she didn't have enough sugar and she wanted to make the dad a birthday cake. So she's used syrup and she doesn't know how it'll turn out. And she goes on to say that she thinks Olive will think her very, very extravagant because she used 2 ounces of currants. 2 ounces is, I don't know, a tablespoonful. So I would imagine these days if we were making a fruitcake, we'd use an awful lot more than that. They've been blackberrying, so little has changed from then to now. And she's made 2 pies. And she's also made some jam. Yeah, it's about managing on what you've got, isn't it? And this letter, I think, is a really precious reminder. So that lady, Hannah, was 94 years old when she died. Here's her birth certificate. I don't know if you can, sorry, her death certificate. I don't know if you can see that. So she was the wife of John Holmes Randall, the clockmaker from Holt. And she died in March of 1959 at the age of 94. I know that her and her family were staunch Methodists, and I know also that on the day of her death, she was still delivering to the poor and the needy, as she called it. I found she has beautiful handwriting actually, but then a lot of people did. And I think some of the things that she had written are really pertinent still for today. I found this, and I'll just read you the top part. It says, there's an old Chinese curse. May it be your fate to live in interesting times. I wonder why that was thought of as a curse, because, I don't know, perhaps the use of the word interesting. Anyway, and it reminds us that it's far more difficult to act rightly when the possibilities are so great and so exciting than when we live in more gentle days. And I just think that is so apt for what's going on today. You know, with all the panic and the fear, maybe it is harder to act wisely and with kindness. And it's what goes on in a moment is what we see of as the most important thing. And yet it's just a very brief moment in time. I found a letter, this one here, which is written from my grandfather to his mum, Hannah, from Ilford. Just a very hurried line to wish you a very happy birthday in spite of the noise and general unrest. And that made me think of what's going on now. So when I read the next bit, you'll click on immediately as to when this happened. We've had a day of rumours, and I cannot remember a crisis when everyone was practically of the same opinion. The only thing left seems to be for the little fool to abdicate, whatever else he does. It is a pity he ever came to the throne. So, and he goes on just to say that he's got a lot of people off work. He was an electrician, and so life is very busy. But it's that idea that whatever's going on in the moment is the most important thing. And so my message to you is be kind. There is never a better time for random acts of kindness. You don't have to tell anyone about it. It can be done secretly. But just do something for someone else. Make someone else's day. It can be a tiny thing. Yesterday in Sainsbury's car park, I saw a nurse in uniform, and I had a bottle of hand sanitizer that was new but had been in my pocket for absolutely ages because I keep it because of the dog. And I just gave it to her and I said, you need this more than me. And she just was very grateful and said, thank you. We're nursing many people in their homes. You know, it doesn't have to be a big thing. Tiny things can make a difference. So I've also been given this album of autographs and sayings which belonged to my great aunt Olive. You can see her there with her brother Russell. And this photograph would have been taken in the early 1900s in Great Yarmouth. Says on the back, Sherman and Sons, Great Yarmouth, which is, sorry, can you see it there? Quite amazing. And Olive had this book, 14th of August 1911. And I found something written by Joseph F. Myers. And he was in the Staffordshire Regiment, but he was at the Holt camp in Holt. And this is from the 3rd of May 1916, so halfway through the First World War. Just let me show you the script, and then I'm going to read this for you because this is so pertinent. Have you had a kindness shown? Pass it on. It was not given for thee alone. Pass it on. Let it travel round the years. Let it wipe another's tears, till in heaven the deed appears. Pass it on, pass it on. I love that. So I'm going to leave it with you. There was a campaign a little while ago which exposed a lot of wrongdoings that had happened, particularly for women. And it was the Me Too campaign. And in no way wanting to minimise anything about that campaign, because it was tragic and devastating for so many people. But I'd like to start another campaign, and my campaign is the I'm In. So if you want to be part of this campaign, just comment I'm in down below. And I'm in means that you're going to do a random act of kindness in the foreseeable future. Doesn't have to be difficult, something you can manage. But I know for a fact that there are people out there right now who need to know that they're loved, who need to know that they're thought of, who need to know that in spite of this social isolation, there is someone who cares. And it doesn't have to be grand gestures, although I'm not averse to Richard Branson putting his hand in his pocket and actually spending a minuscule amount of his wealth to actually pay the wages of the people he's put on to 8 weeks unpaid leave. But that's another story. So, random acts of kindness. Are you in? I am. And it would also really help me if you'd subscribe to my channel. So you take care, my lovely people, and remember, you are loved. Bye for now.